I think it was a great race. It was incredibly challenging. I think the forecast went out the window when the front moved through the starting line. They wound up actually postponing our sequence, which gave us time to kind of get ready and reassess, but it immediately became a downwind race into light air and shifty conditions on the backside of the front, and we chased that front all the way to Bermuda. So we had confused sea state. We had winds that were up and down, quite shifty. Kind of a whole mix of everything that you get, but it's a great race.
They were talking about the anger of the sea state. Was that true for you as well as just sort of how you sailed the boat?
Yeah.
How did that change?
I mean, absolutely. And Warrior 1 and Callisto are twins, so they're identical boats. And I'm sure that we were in much the same situation they were, particularly on Saturday night, where you're going 20 knots and you're literally launching off waves that are kind of only 3 to 4 feet, but quite steep and kind of coming out of nowhere. And it was pitch black, so it was pretty sporty. And I think the crew really buckled down and kept their heads in the game, and we were able to get through the evening and just keep everybody kind of present and focused on just continuing to drive the boat towards Bermuda.
In stages, how did it play out? I mean, obviously they, talk about the Gulf Stream on down from there if you can.
Yeah, I mean, it's as they talk about the race, it's a bit of a race to the Gulf Stream and then a race to get through it, and then a race on the other side. And I think when we really got going, which was, I'd say we kind of found our gear on probably Saturday morning. We were able to really lock in and able to get the kite up and start making some big momentum. I think we got into the Gulf Stream and got into some favorable current. We were able to work east and then begin moving back down towards Bermuda. But again, the front had just moved through. So you had a combination of, some pretty shifty breezes and just waves from 3 different directions at once. So we were relieved to get on the other side of the stream because the seas did start to settle down. And we actually had a pretty nice night last night where we had flat seas and pretty favorable breezes kind of in that 15 to 20 range, which allowed us to put some miles behind us and get down here more quickly.
And how about trying to sail with them? Were you you're the hunter here?
It's so we're racing in different divisions. They're someone to match your performance against, and you're able to kind of compare where they are on the race course. And we were actually in sight of them, during the daylight hours throughout the race. And you're able to just compare sail settings, and really the boats are obviously so close together that you're able to kind of course correct as you go. We both saw kite trouble within about 15 minutes of each other, right at the peak of the worst sea state. And so I think it always helps to have somebody out there that is very, very closely matched, particularly in a race of this kind of distance.
You mentioned the sail trouble. Was it, did you lose a sail?
We did. We lost one spinnaker, which was just, again, this incredible sea state. And when these boats load up, if you've got the bow on a wave, it's pretty spectacular. Now you see it, now you don't.
Yeah. Which sail was that in the inventory? Was it a key one?
It was an A2, an A2 plus actually. It was our uprange spinnaker, and yeah, that's pretty important. So we went with an A2 for the rest of the race, and you got to nurse that a little bit. So it probably dials you back 10%, but at this point you're so invested in just kind of getting there. We decided that we were just going to send it, and luckily the Doyle kite that we had was really, really well made and held together all the way to the finish. So we felt really good about that.
I feel like the slowdown was similar for them as well, and just in the cleanup and redeploying, and so it was sort of an even matched loss there.
Yeah, I think
who's quicker getting it back, right?
They're very quick at everything. Chris and his team are really setting the bar in offshore racing, and we've had the opportunity to line up against them now 3 times in the last year, the Transpac and the Caribbean 600, and now here in Bermuda. And so it's great just to be racing against these guys, and they really set the standard, and we're just happy we're able to pace with them throughout the event.
And how about what was your goal? I mean, obviously the goal is always to win, but this sort of the division win here. What does that mean for you?
So as a pro-am team, we had 4 pros on board and 10 amateurs, and we set a goal to be first to finish in St. David's Lighthouse, and we were. So we feel very good about that. Obviously, an incredibly strong field out there. Some world-famous sailors who are still on the water and making their way down to Bermuda, and we're taking nothing for granted. But we feel good being down here first, and we feel like being able to pace with Chris and the team. We're continuing to develop as a crew, and we look forward to seeing them out there on the line again and events to come.
And how about for you on the race? What was did you get how much driving time in the crazy stuff?
Yeah, so in St. David's, pros can't touch the wheel.
Right.
So what we did is we actually picked 6 of the amateurs who had the most rudder and tiller time, and we basically said those are going to be the guys that we go to, and we rotated through. And it was a learning experience for all of us. But we have great coaches on board. I think we may only have 4 pros, but we have 4 of the best teachers in the business. Incredibly patient, really generous with the advice that they give and talking you through it, and just keeping you rolling, keeping your head in the game. And when it's pitch black and it's blowing 20 and there's waves coming from 3 different directions, that's not easy to do. So really hats off to those guys for getting us down here in one piece, and also teaching us a lot along the way, which is really the whole point of our program.
But how about yourself? The energy of the last 24 hours, which seems to be probably a pretty busy time.
Yeah, the last day of a race like this, you kind of abandon the watch system and it's all hands on deck. And from that last jibe into Bermuda until the finish, it was just pushing 100%. And I think everybody's really glad to be here, but the buzz really doesn't wear off for a few days, just out of experience. So I think we're looking forward to enjoying the island and waiting for the rest of the fleet to come in and just spending some time catching up on what was an incredible race. Obviously overshadowed by the tragedy that took place on another boat. It's a very sobering moment. The kind of conditions that we had out there are not a joking matter for anybody. And obviously our thoughts are with the crew and the family of the seaman who was lost, but really makes you think about what we're out there doing and why we're all watching out for each other every minute of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the team as a whole, what is this? Is this sort of the ultimate victory for the season, or do you have more ahead?
So there's more to come. First, it's back to the 109 for more racing in Chicago. But then this boat will probably next surface next year. And we're still finalizing exactly what the schedule is going to be. But the whole idea was go around and do bucket list races, and Newport to Bermuda is absolutely high on that list. So that's what we were excited to do today.
All right, last question. I mean, the boat preparation, obviously getting through all that stuff. One spinnaker break aside, the boat looks good. Can you speak a little bit about the preparation of getting ready for this race and how it all played out?
Sure. I mean, it goes back to actually getting the boat, picking the boat. These 2 boats are really 2 of a kind. They are built with more structure and with a lot more support in the rig than typical 52s, and that's why we chose this boat. We're incredibly fortunate to get a hold of it. And I think in terms of preparing, there's kind of 3 different levels. Part was the gear. We worked really closely with Dole to make sure that we had the inventory that we needed to kind of get out there. The second was the team. We made sure that we practiced and got everybody together and made sure that people were drilled in safety and made sure that everybody understood the role that they had to play on the boat. And then really it was about strategizing, and our navigator, Ian Moore, put together a great game plan. That plan had to go out the window when the front came through about 12 hours before we thought it would. But Ian was terrific in terms of really just thinking on the fly and putting together a plan that got us out near the front of the pack and gave us some leverage to watch as the weather developed, and just continuing to try to drive to the front of the pack as quickly as we could.
Yeah.
So a lot of prep, but it paid off.
The pace seemed pretty quick, at least from those watching the tracker. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the great things about the 52s, which everyone knows from watching the Super Series, is they are fast. And when you take them offshore and you have a boat that has the rig and the structure to support it, and you really want to send it, you can. When you're seeing the upside of 20 over and over again, it's pretty exhilarating.
Excellent. Okay, I said last question, but on the sail, much triple head setup, or was the angle? It seemed like the angle
Constant.
was constant.
A lot of triple heading. Masthead 0 and 2 staysails. And that's a mode that is very, very quick in this boat. So when you're sailing 125 to 135, that is the way you want to go, and that really gets you down the course quickly.
And top speed for the week?
It's somewhere in between 20 and 25. Who knows? It was in the middle of the night, and we might have been airborne, but it was a lot of fun.
Nice. Excellent. All right, what are you guys doing in Bermuda quick? Just scattering lunch? And
first thing we're going to do is get off the boat and find some beer. And then we got to de-rig, we got to clean up, and then I think we're going to sit back and kind of enjoy the day.
Excellent. All right, cool.
All right.
Excellent.